Welcome,
Hello.
everyone.
Yes, go ahead, Diana. I'm so sorry.
Absolutely, that's okay. Welcome, everyone, on behalf of Dimensions and Travel. We are delighted to have you joining us for our Tulip Time Cruises and Floriade 2022 virtual event with AMA Waterways. This is the 22nd in our travel agency's virtual event series where we talk about exciting places to go and fun ways to get there. My name is Diana St. James, and I am one of the owners of Dimensions and Travel, along with Jill Romano. Dimensions and Travel has been in business since 1978, 43 years, and we do intend to be here for many more. We have 28 travel advisors who are missing travel very much right now, and we know you do too. And we feel like these virtual events are a wonderful way to keep the spirit of travel alive in us all. Before we get started, I want to cover a couple of housekeeping points. We do have everyone in listen-only mode, so cameras are off, microphones are off in order to minimize distractions. But if you do have questions, there is a Q&A box, attached with your screen there. And if you'll just post any of your questions there, we'll answer them at the end, but you can post them at any time during our presentation. Today, we are going to be taking you on a virtual journey through the rivers of Holland and Belgium. I did this AMA Waterways Tulip Time River Cruise in 2018 with my mother, and it was one of the best travel experiences that we have ever had. And Dimensions and Travel does hope to do this again in 2022, this voyage, with a small group from our agency, but more on that later. I would like to introduce our special guests now. First of all, I'd like to introduce Brian Rademacher. I have known Brian for over 20 years. He is our business development manager with AMA Waterways. He has been our representative with other cruise lines in the past, but I truly think he has found his home with AMA. And I know you'll love you'll be able to see how much he loves AMA Waterways today too, and how he presents. We, at Dimensions of Travel, we love all the presentations that Brian does for our team. So we're delighted to have him this way virtually and to be able to share him with you. I would also like to introduce Rachel Cotto, and Rachel is a cruise manager with AMA Waterways, and I have had the privilege of sailing with Rachel on a France cruise, and so this was 2 years ago, and I am so excited to be able to see her even virtually today. She is coming to us from Brazil, which is her native home. But she has been with AMA Waterways for 10 years and has cruised on all of the European river itineraries offered by the company. But the French rivers, Belgium, and Dutch waterways are very close to her heart. Her favorite ports are Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Avignon, Barcelona, but not necessarily in that order. When she's not working, you can find her competing in beach tennis tournaments and volunteering with several NGOs like the Red Cross. Thank you very much for that. Rachel is fluent in 8 languages. Portuguese, Spanish, Catalan, English, French, Italian, German, and Dutch, and she is trying to add Russian to that list. So without further ado, I would like to turn this over to Brian and Rachel now to take you through the waterways of Holland and Belgium. Hi guys, take it away.
Hello. Wow, thank you, Diana. Thank you for your kind sentiments, your generous words and introduction, very much indeed, and love working with you all and all your advisors at Dimensions and Travel. And the history that we have goes way back, as you say. So thank you so much, as I say, for the opportunity for AMA Waterways, and more specifically for myself and for our illustrious cruise manager guest, who I think you hit the nail on the head. We're going to have a wonderful presentation by a person, Rachel, who definitely knows whereof she speaks in terms of this particular program. As a matter of fact, she was telling us right before we all signed on that this particular PowerPoint and many of the images you're going to see, she actually had a hand in putting it together. So I did not know that until this morning. So again, thank you. Thank you to all of you folks for joining us. And did you mention, Diana, because I had my young son making noise in the background, did you mention this was being recorded? Did you happen to mention that?
I did not. So yes, this is being recorded, so
So
everyone can listen to it later too. Yeah.
yeah, so that's the other housekeeping note that I usually add is so, and we
Okay.
want you, when I send the recording link to Diana and the folks at Dimensions and they send it out, we encourage you to share the video with your family and friends and colleagues, because what we have found, quite candidly, is that oftentimes more people actually, quote, participate in this webinar, watching it after the fact, than sometimes who are here live. So it has long legs, it has a shelf life, if you will. So we encourage you certainly to share the video when we send it out, and particularly when you hear how wonderful this program is, and from Rachel as well. And so I am going to let Rachel talk a little bit about herself and her background to add to what Diana already mentioned. And how's the Russian coming along, Rachel? How's that? That's your 8th language, is that right?
I think I need another pandemic to learn Russian. Have enough it's a hard one, but it's worth it, huh? And I would like, first of all, to thank both of you for having me here. It's a pleasure seeing you, even if it's only virtually. I've cruised with both of you, Brian. We met on a Tulip Time cruise.
That's right.
Matter of fact, huh?
That was back in 2017. Yeah, so almost 4 years ago. And I met you, and I was telling Rachel the other day, I remember we were in Bruges, and I think either Rachel told me or I heard through the grapevine that she liked a particular type of Belgian beer that actually had a hint of cherry flavor. So I made it a point in Bruges, of all places, to find that specially flavored beer and brought that back to Rachel as a thank you gift. So anyway,
it sounds weird, but it's good, huh? Yeah, we're going to learn a little bit of Dutch today, huh? Just a little bit. Diana, I know we cruised in France together.
Yes.
We cruised in France. We did the Rhone on the Provence.
Yes, that's right.
I remember you and your mom. Amazing. But I was going to take to Tulip Times, Netherlands and Belgium a little bit. So I'm really looking forward. This specific itinerary goes very close to my heart because I started working 10 years ago for the company, exactly for the Floriade. So in 2012, right? 2011, 2012. So it was really nice to be able to see 10 years later that I'm going for the second one. So great. I cannot wait to share all the information with all of you.
All right. So thank you, Rachel. And actually, you're not only Brazilian, but aren't you part Dutch as well?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're Dutch and Brazilian. All right. Cool.
It's an explosive mixture.
Yes. And we have to remember, before we're done with the webinar today, you may have to turn your camera to show us your view from your outpost there in Recife, Brazil, which is where specifically Rachel's coming from. But before that, I'm going to share, we actually at AMA Waterways created a music video, a little short music video, which we're kind of proud of. So I'm going to show this very quickly for you all. Can I get a flavor and a taste of what it all is that we do at AMA Waterways? So here.
Our mission is to personally connect with our guests and make a positive impact on the world, so that every mile of the river cruise experience becomes one of their most cherished memories.
Let there be light, let it shine, love is all. destination love, the joy of the poor. Every land and every nation, every bank and location. My people, we get it. New powerful. We are stronger than one. Yes, we conquer every storm. We are one people and not alone like the river. Every soul. Yes, we are stronger together. We conquer every storm.
All right. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, so let's continue on. And we always show this particular image because it is so evocative, certainly. And it is that oceans take you to the countries, but rivers take you through them. There's no question about that. Pre-COVID, river cruising was one of the hottest types of travel that existed. And certainly post-COVID, we feel the same. As a matter of fact, we heard earlier this week that our bookings are quite strong as we move forward, particularly summer and beyond, as well as, and Diana was mentioning 2022, and you'll hear about that here shortly, but 2022 is booking incredibly well. And actually, we just heard that within a month's time, we're going to open the books for 2023. So we are looking forward and moving forward. And indeed, as you can see here, quite beautiful to sail these beautiful rivers and waterways of Europe. And this is the departure that's occurring next April 26th of next year through May 3rd, that Diana, with a small group, will come with her on the beautiful Amacerto on an itinerary that's called Tulip Time, which Rachel's going to talk about here shortly. And it's an Amsterdam round trip, right? And then you're going to also have the opportunity to take a look at Floriade. You're going to hear more about that. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, so we'll talk more about that here momentarily. Real quickly, we actually had a successful European sailing season last year, and you might wonder, how the heck did that happen? Well, quite frankly, we chartered one of our ships, the Ama Christina, to a German tour operator called Ehoy, and they ran the Ama Christina for a series of cruises about 4.5 months. And I think upwards of around 1,500 guests over that 4.5 month stretch of time. These were cruises round trip out of Cologne, Germany, northbound and southbound. And the reason we say it was successful, there's many reasons, but I'll give 2 reasons. One, the most obvious is we were grateful that we had no cases of COVID. Now, you might say, well, boy, you were lucky. And we say luck is the residue of design, because there was a lot that went into that to make sure that that was the eventual outcome, quite frankly. The second reason I mention it being successful is because the amount in terms of being in the game and participating as one of 58 river ships, we were the only North American brand operating, but the experience that we gained is invaluable as it relates to the protocols and things that we put into place for those sailings on the Ama Christina last year on the Rhine. Again, always to be better playing in the game and participating than on the sidelines. So we felt and do feel that that experience for us was invaluable. If you want to know more about all of that, you can go to this website, amawaterways.com/travel-updates to see this cashed out in a more thorough way. And then always you want to make sure that when you are reserving your travel these days that you have travel insurance. That's key, absolutely key. And then there are other programs we offer, which Dimensions in Travel can tell you about. And these other two programs specifically, the Ultimate Cruise Flexibility and the Travel Waiver Plus program, these were going to end on January 31st. We've extended them through the end of March. The bottom line is what we have found is that our travel advisor partners, through their clients, one of the key things they want is the flexibility when they're making reservations, to know that they do have flexibility to change their mind, etc. Right? So these two programs you're going to want to learn more about through your favorite advisor at Travel Dimensions for sure. All right, or Dimensions in Travel, I should say. Key things here. I'll let you peruse those images or those bullet points, if you will. And certainly these are the things that we bring to the table, our brand truths, our marketing truths, if you will. Again, I won't read them all to you. I will tell you this, that Berlitz, the Berlitz Guide to River Cruising, rates our ships as the best in Europe, and we're very proud about that. The author, Douglas Ward, he's too well known, so he sends out mystery shoppers, and they do the ratings and rank the ships, and we're very, very pleased indeed that they've rated us as the highest. But again, these are all things that we bring to the table at AMA Waterways, and you will thoroughly enjoy yourself. These are our owners, European heritage. They're very passionate. They're also very prudent. And what I mean by prudent is all of our ships are paid for, including 3 new ships coming this year. They're all paid for up front. So that's nice to have zero debt as a company, particularly in this current environment. You're not owing any creditors. And so we're in good shape there. And as I say, we're family owned and have been around since 2002. This is a typical and more popular accommodation. It's the twin balcony accommodation. And Rachel, did you want to maybe mention what you find most appealing about the fact that our guests love having these twin balcony accommodations?
Yes, first of all, the space, especially now after all that happened, all that space outside that you have. And I have to say, for specifically the cruise we're going to talk about, we do have a lot of cruising time, and the sunsets and the sunrises that we have on a Dutch waterways, Belgian waterways, river cruise are just mind-blowing. One of my favorite memories was once I had to move. I have to go to a cabin 208, which looks exactly like the one we are seeing. And at 4 a.m. in the morning, I couldn't sleep, so I opened the door, and it was windmills, 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 one after the other, and I was just mind-blown. So this is one of the advantages of booking a cabin like that. Plus, absolutely, when you're upset with your husband, you just lock him outside.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So now I am going to have the pleasure of turning over the presentation, and you, Rachel, can just, I'll try to keep up with you. You can always just say next slide, but I'm going to turn over the presentation to Rachel, and I'm going to have her be talking over this next little while. And then towards the end, we're going to have some specials to talk about as well. So I turn it over to you, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. We can do it in Dutch, huh? No. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity of taking you to my favorite itinerary. I think together with Provence, like the Rhone River in France and this one in the Netherlands, they're really my favorites. And I'm so happy that in 2022, we're actually going to have more of those sailings, not only in March, April, and May. We have a special itinerary. We're going to talk a little bit about it in the end. This is basically the map. I'm going to take my magic wand here and take you through this beautiful river cruise of 8 days, 7 nights from Amsterdam back to Amsterdam. So it's actually a round cruise that takes you through the highlights of Belgium and the Netherlands. That's the itinerary of your cruise that you have set for the date of April and May. I have to say, Diana, very good choice of date, because you board on the 26th and on the 27th we have King's Day. King's Day, biggest celebration in the Netherlands. Everybody is outside celebrating the birth of King Willem, the King of the Netherlands, and everybody's wearing orange. So this is very nice to see. They have gardens of orange tulips everywhere. Doesn't matter if you're not in Amsterdam, doesn't matter where you are, it's orange everywhere, and it's a beautiful feeling to be part of that as well, right? So we can move on talking about Amsterdam, but actually before that, before we start with our pre in Amsterdam, I would like to stress something for those of you who already river cruise. Many of you are first timers for sure, but for those of you who cruised already with us or with other river company, you know already that we might have the situation of water like droughts in summer or floodings during winter. I have to say that for the Dutch and Belgian waterways, you do not need to worry about that because everything is man-controlled. So these beautiful constructions, the Delta Works, which, by the way, is an option of tour included in your cruise. You can actually visit that, and it's amazing. It's my recommendation for that day. You can actually go and see it, how they protected the whole coast of the Netherlands, and they made it able for us to cruise 365 days of the year. So you're never going to have this problem of low water, high water in the Netherlands or Belgium whatsoever. You can go free of worries regarding that. I just wanted to show the picture to you so you can understand a little bit of the idea. When you're cruising the Netherlands, you're not cruising only one waterway. You're cruising sometimes on a river, sometimes on an arm of a river, sometimes it's a lake, sometimes it used to be the sea. So it's beautiful what they did there. And you're going to learn so much throughout your journey. It's much more than just the red light district or tulips. I know they are highlights, but it is not only that, right? We begin in Amsterdam. That's a beautiful shot. I love it because you're going to see that in the capital of the Netherlands, we do have gardens everywhere from March to May. Last year, the Keukenhof unfortunately didn't open, but what they did, I don't know if you know, back there in the US, Keukenhof never opened, but the garden was ready, right? What they did with the tulips, they gave it to all the sanitary people. So all the hospitals got tulips from Keukenhof. So that was quite something. And they do celebrate the flower that doesn't come from the Netherlands, comes from Turkey, but that's a subject for another talk, right? We do have a pre-extension for those of you who would like to stay a little bit longer and enjoy the many attractions of Amsterdam, because you board in Amsterdam the following day in the morning. We have a beautiful Canal Cruise done in one of the small little ships that are already running in Amsterdam with different procedure. We have social distancing, and before we used to have 30 people by boat. Now it's only 15, if I'm not mistaken, according to Amsterdam rules. Other thing I do have to stress about Amsterdam and the Netherlands in general, ladies and gentlemen, even before COVID, right? In 2019, the last tour I had there, they are already pushing for small groups. So the maximum group of guests we can have in the Netherlands is of 15 to 16 people. 15 to 16, so they are already small, right? Otherwise, Netherlands and Dutch authorities are all over us, so they are really conscious about the small group of people. That just makes your experience even more worth it, right? So the Canal Cruise is day 2 after we board, and from there, we already start cruising in the beautiful Dutch waterways. We can continue. I do have some hints for all of you, especially now. I'm going to make a little parenthesis here, ladies and gentlemen, especially for those of you who are staying 3 nights in Amsterdam, and I do recommend because it is such a vibrant city, there's so much for you to do. Or if you're staying a little bit extra afterwards, we do have museums there that are so worth for you to see it. For me, Anne Frank's house and Van Gogh's museum are the 2 sites you cannot miss in Amsterdam. And please buy your tickets ahead of time. Do not wait for you to get there. Anne Frank's house before in 2019 already had 3 months waiting, 3 months. Imagine now that it's even more, they admit less people even inside. It's now half of what they admitted. So the tickets are really coveted, and you do need to buy them before. You can already start looking, or more or less in July of this year, and purchase. I know it sounds a bit extreme, but it is like this. And the Van Gogh Museum, with the whole new virtual experience they did, they actually, you can check now the guide online. So it's already on the phone. Everything in Europe. I live in Barcelona myself, right? So I have already visited in 2020 all the Gaudi houses. By the new European Union law, you cannot have public transmitters anymore. So you download everything in your phone. It's amazing. You have the whole museum in your phone. You can already do the visit if you want of Van Gogh Museum. That's free of charge. But to actually see it there is my favorite museum in Europe. That's why I wanted to tell you to buy the tickets before and already check when is it better for you, prior or after, and give you a little bit more reasons to stay in Amsterdam a little bit longer. The small group excursions I was telling you all about, for those of you who will join us for the pre-extension, you will see maximum of 15 people per group. That's beautiful. You can easily walk. Also, what is important to know, Amsterdam does not allow buses in the town anymore. So what is the old town of Amsterdam does not allow buses. We have to do everything by walk or small little cars. They want to do everything as green as possible. And in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, we are not allowed to have cars in the Netherlands anymore that go by gas or diesel. Everything has to be electric. So that's how they want to change the image of the city. That takes us to biking. Biking in the Netherlands, I'm going to please beg you, do not bike in Amsterdam. You can bike whatever you want in this itinerary. You can bike whatever you want. What is beautiful about both itineraries, Tulip Time and Dutch and Belgian waterways, we have a included bike ride for you every single day. Every single day. It's gorgeous. You can actually bike with the Dutch. I do not say you're going to keep up with them because that's a different story. But we do not offer one in Amsterdam for obvious reasons, right? You will see, for those of you who are there already, you know that demands a little bit of extra skills. But the bike rides in the Netherlands have something for you to take a look at and maybe join one or two. We also have to talk about Dutch gastronomy. Yeah, it's quite good actually. Brian, I know yesterday you were craving for some stroopwafels.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Hand it over.
I got some here for you. We actually have two types of them. I don't know if you knew it. Like you have cinnamon ones. I can smell it. I wish you could too. Huh? And we have toffee ones. So this is kind of a caramel one, the more typical. But the cinnamon ones is the one you want to look for when you're there because they're not very known, but they are such a delicacy. And how we drink it in the Netherlands, you're going to see when we are sitting all over in those squares, in the little cafes, and you're going to see that in the Netherlands, in Belgium, all the chairs in the terraces, they're facing forward. They do not face each other. We face to the square because we love chit-chatting about each other, right? Like people judging is a national sport there. So what we like is to put the stroopwafel on the top of hot coffee or hot tea, and then it melts and you whip it. I'm not gonna eat it right now because otherwise I lose the train of thought, but that's something I can send to you, Brian, later. I can send it to you. So it is something that I love about this tour as well, because in every single port, you will have time enough to just wander around and then take a seat, chat with the locals, and try a little bit of the local gastronomy treats as well, because we do have some of them. And I'll be there on board or another cruise manager explaining you what to try. We keep moving. I just wanted to make it clear that for this specific cruise, we cannot go to all the ports and all the excursions. So I'm just giving you the highlights, in my opinion, because you will see with Waterways what is beautiful. In every single port, you have at least minimum for this specific cruise, 4 choices. Four. Tulip Time cruises, they are all included, absolutely all of them. We do not have any extra charge excursions and Tulip Time cruises. So the only thing you need to do is choose. And sometimes choosing them can be very hard, so many different options. I'm just going to give you my highlights, in my opinion. Rotterdam, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the most vibrant cities in the whole of the north of Europe. It was heavily bombed during World War II, so what you're going to see is basically reconstruction. But I love to see the contrast of old and new. There is really vibrant. It is also the end of the River Rhine. So those of you who were cruising already passed on the Rhine, finished in Amsterdam, you were not able to cruise all the way up to Rotterdam. That's where the river ends and it reaches the sea. So it's just beautiful to see our ship by this massive cargo ships passing right by you. It is a city that has 190 different nationalities. So it's a little bit of a melting pot. We call it mini New York, right? And we're docked right at the heart of the city, right to the city. My options for that day, see, there you have an idea, because we had before the cubit houses, and architecture novelty, there is beautiful. And you have there the Old Harbor of Amsterdam. That's long due. They kept it a little bit of the old boats. People still living there. Sometimes they invite you for a coffee. Nowadays, I don't know how it goes anymore. But before, they were so friendly, inviting us over. And you can just wander, because the ship is really docked in the heart of the town. There. No bus, no nothing whatsoever. It's just as easy as, Rachel, today I want to explore in my own. You can do it. Just go out. You can even get a bike. We do have a fantastic bike tour that takes you until the actually end of the Rhine there. So you can see a little bit of the sea. We also have the option for you. The next slide is beautiful, I have to tell you. Brian, I hope you're ready for this. Next slide. Delfshaven. ladies and gentlemen, is a new excursion that was included. It's very emotional to see the point where the founding fathers, they say, where the immigrants left Europe and went to Canada and US. Many of you actually find the registers of great-great-parents, great-parents there, right there, the name. They come, some of the guests, they come on board with the name, I want to find my great-great-father, and it is very emotional to see the origins of many of your families, right? Many of you might have Dutch backgrounds, Belgian backgrounds, even Germans were living from there as well. So it is an excursion that is included, and it leaves from Rotterdam. And the Rotterdam Market Hall, it's mind-blowing. It is 6 minutes away from the ship. So walking is about 6 minutes there, and coming back is about half an hour because of all the wind. It's very windy in Rotterdam. So I always have to stress, because Rotterdam Market Hall is a place I like to recommend everybody to go. Beautiful. You have a little bit of these 190 nationalities I was telling you. You have a taste of each one of them in the small little stands. And all the houses you can see there, those windows are actually living houses. People live there. So it's, for me, it is beautiful to see how they try to incorporate locals and tourists at the same time. And it's really close to the ship. Cheese, if you like cheese, that's paradise for you. Rotterdam cheese is actually my favorite in the whole of the Netherlands. You can buy it there, you can bring it to the ship and bring some to me as well. I'm going to be very happy about that. So we move on and we now change countries. We go to our neighbor Belgium. Ladies and gentlemen, then the first stop is going to be Antwerp or Antwerp, right? In English, we are once again docked at the heart of the town. We're moving rivers. I told you, it's not one, not two, not three, but more than 10 different waterways. Now we are talking about the Schelde. You have 8 days to learn that, don't worry. The Schelde River, we are going to be in the second biggest harbor of Europe, right? So we were already in Rotterdam, which is the biggest. Second biggest one is Antwerp. Once again, I love sometimes just to say the sun deck, seeing the big cargo ships or passenger ships passing right by us. And in Antwerp, we have the contrast, right? The contrast that we have from Dutch architecture. We're moving now to Flanders. We're talking about Flanders architecture. The next slide is a beautiful opportunity for you to understand what I'm talking about. We're going to spend a whole day in Antwerp, one of the most beautiful cities in the romantic Flanders that we say. And this is the Bravo Fountain. You can see completely different than what you've seen already in Amsterdam or what you've seen in Rotterdam. It is kept old style, so you have some buildings there dating to the 9th century. Quite something, quite something. We had scaffolding there until end of 2019, but now it's done. Renovation works are done, and what you see there is what you get. The story behind this fountain is a beautiful legend. Maybe you can check it out. Bravo Fountain, Bravo Fountain. I'm not going to spoil it for you now, but it's a beautiful legend that explains a little bit of the history of Belgium. So before they were one kingdom, Holland and Belgium, right? But the spirit of the Belgium are a little bit depicted by this special man, Bravo Fountain. So we spend the whole day there. You can easily just enjoy it on your own. As I said, you can go back and forward to the ship and back as many times as you want. We do have a bike tour. You can go to see Rubens' house. We know, for those of you who like painting and fine arts, Rubens was born there. You can visit his house. Or you can even enjoy a chocolate, waffle, and beer tasting. I think we know where we are going to. No, Brian? You and I. Maybe a little bit.
I love Belgian beer.
I know, we all do. More than 100 types for you to choose. People come back to the ship very happy. It's a day I have to be very careful with all aboard time. Everybody wants to enjoy the Belgian bars right there by the ship. Sometimes I have to come, you know, and pick people by the hair. Let's go back. We need to leave. Middelburg is waiting us. It is a beautiful stop we have on the Tulip Time Cruise, ladies and gentlemen. Why do I stress this one? Why do I like to recommend it? Because it's really traveling back in time. We left vibrant cities. We left pretty big, let's say, like this. Rotterdam is big, Amsterdam is huge. And then we have Antwerp, which is the second biggest city in Belgium. And we travel back in time to Middelburg, one of the smallest little villages we have in the whole of the itinerary. We have the people so curious when we arrive. They're not used to boats like they're to ships. So sometimes they park their bikes and they're seeing, you know. So it's like we are the attraction. And I just love the fact that they keep things the way they were back in the 16th, 17th centuries. We have cobblestones everywhere, but that's part of the European charm, right? And for those of you who love windmills, we have them everywhere there. You know, windmills were part of the fight from the Dutch against the water, and you're going to learn a lot about the history. And also from Middelburg is the point where you go with bus, half an hour to the Delta Works. That first picture we showed you, and there you go from Middelburg. You're going to understand a lot about the history that the Dutch have all the way back centuries ago fighting water, because a third of their territory is really below sea level, including the airport. That's scary. That's very scary. But many of you didn't know that. Keukenhof Gardens, I have to say, is the highlight of the whole cruise. The reason why you booked the Tulip Time cruise, ladies and gentlemen, it is our very last day on board. Once we are back to Amsterdam, what I love about Keukenhof Garden excursion, it is actually free time for you to enjoy. You're going to arrive with your guide, you have about 10 minutes orientation ride, and afterwards the flowers are yours to enjoy. You have the whole morning to just enjoy the beauty. Every year we have different themes. Last year, 2019, it was Van Gogh, and we had pictures of Van Gogh painted with flowers. Beautiful work they did. This picture is actually mine from my phone. So no Photoshop, no nothing. It's really what you see. And once again, Diana, excellent work picking the date. April to May, you have the parades already of the Queen of Tulip. So she will be around because they are really blooming at this time. So the colors will be all over. So congratulations, kudos for this date. It is a beautiful opportunity for you to discover a little bit more of the history of the Netherlands and tulips. This is a perfect example of what not to do. Please don't go between the tulips, otherwise you get a fine. But it's really for you to see that it's not Photoshop, right? What I love about this picture is that you can see that they're right there, right in front of your eyes. And for those of you who think that a whole morning is not enough, we do have a shuttle bus system taking you from the gardens to the ship. So you can actually come back when you please. I think that's quite of a plus. Waterways is really, really always trying to reach out to what you want and to keep you happy. We have already now the service of shuttle bus between Keukenhof and the ship, or you can enjoy just the free afternoon in Amsterdam. Talking about the Floriade, ladies and gentlemen, that is going on 2022, so next year. It is a horticultural global fair, let's put it like this, a big, big, big event that attracts people from all over the world. Every 10 years is happening, so every decade. And then next year you'll be able to visit it. So that will be going on the last day of the cruise. It is located in Almere. So I also have to say that the drive from Amsterdam to Almere is about 30 minutes max. Beautiful, eh? The ride itself is an attraction. And the theme of next year is green energy and renovation. They have really exhibitors from all over with new technologies. That's, I think, a slide, right, or presentation that Brian found, just for you to understand a little bit more about the importance of this fair has in Europe and even in the planet, right? So for those of you, even that you do not like flowers, you're not that into gardening, if you are an engineer or if you want just to know what's going to happen in the next 20, 30 years, that's something for you to see. It is something that happens only every 10 years. So we're in for a big, big, big treat. Big, big treat. I want to go. I just cannot wait for it to be next year. One next highlight I have to say is Horn, ladies and gentlemen, with this, it's everything you think about the Netherlands. For me, first time we went there, it was about 6 years ago. The cruising between Amsterdam and Horn is mind-blowing. Really beautiful. We are cruising a lake that used to be the sea. So we have fresh fish water and houses, windmills, cows, tulips everywhere. It is during lunchtime. Normally we have this cruising, so between 12 to 3 p.m. So I make sure everybody is awake. So I'm making announcements everywhere. Listen, please see this because it's beautiful. And the highlight of Horn is actually to visit the tulip farm. You're going to learn a lot about the tulip industry in the Netherlands. I'm amazed. How can they harvest that? And in one day, it is everywhere. So they have weddings, they have big events, they have fairs, and they are sending it so fast. The Netherlands are amazing. The Dutch are amazing traders. They have always been such a small little country, but they are the biggest exporters of vegetables and flowers of the European Union. That's amazing. Huh? And you're going to learn a lot about that there. You're actually going to see the tulips, and you're going to have a little bit more surprise that I cannot spoil, but it is one option tour that you have from Horn. So to visit the Tulip Time Farm, or as well a beautiful bike ride. So these two options are something to look for when you book your tours with your cruise manager. We finished the cruise, but we do want to stress a little bit more about a new itinerary, because we used to have the Tulip Time cruises only from March to May. And at the end of the cruise, we do get a questionnaire to all of our lovely guests. And many of them were asking, why don't you have this itinerary throughout the year? I know we're here for the tulips. Tulips are only from March to May, but it is beautiful to see even without it, right? Because you have so much to offer. And the weather in summer is beautiful because it's not that hot as it is in France or in Spain, for example, Portugal. If you're looking for something a little bit less hot, let's say like this, more pleasant temperatures, that's the itinerary for you. We do have festivals everywhere. People are out celebrating the sun. They do not get that much sun throughout the year. So therefore, the idea of exploring a little bit longer this part of Europe. And the big difference I have to say between the two itineraries is actually you're going to spend a little bit more time in Belgium. Now, before you would have 2 days, now you have 3 days and a half. So it will be half of the cruise in the Netherlands, half of the cruise in Belgium, and new stops that are quite exciting, like the next one you're going to see. Next slide takes us to the highlight of this cruise, in my opinion. Right, this is the beginning. We do begin in Amsterdam. So once again, Amsterdam to Amsterdam, same thing. But this time we go to Brussels. So different part of Belgium. Before we were just in Ghent and Antwerp, so all Flanders. Now we're going to Brussels. We're going to the capital of the country. The ship is docked in the heart of the town. Basically, it's about 20 minutes drive with a bus. But it is amazing to be able to dock there. I don't know if you know that. We were open, Belgium was open for river ships in 2018, 2019. We are one of the few river cruise lines that is able actually to dock in Brussels, because it's very, very hard to actually get a free spot there. And we managed, hey, to Waterways. And we're going to spend a whole day in the capital of Belgium, in the capital of the European Union. That is the headquarters of the European Union. For those of you who would like to visit, once again, you can already book it, because especially now after COVID, the restrictions are quite high, but you can still visit, right? So if you're interested in visiting the headquarters of the European Union, and it is amazing what they have there, just make sure you go on the site and you can already book it. Beautiful city, you have the whole day there. The excursions are gorgeous. We do have a half-day free tour around the town, and afterwards free time. Or once again, we can take you to taste some beer and local delicacies. So you're going to learn a little bit more about Belgian culinary this time. There's much more than frites and chocolate and beer. There's much more, believe me. Mannequin Peace is the little symbol of the town. It's actually this big, huh? Like, have you been there, Brian?
I have not been there, no.
No.
I love
to go to the fountain and then look for it, and everybody's looking. It's like, but I have to say that right beside it we have the chocolate street, and they have chocolate replicas like this. So I'll stay with the chocolate. It's better. Yeah. There's a whole story behind it. Your guides are going to explain. It tells you a little bit more about the fighting spirit of the Belgium, right? That they don't care about authority or the Dutch, because they were fighting right there. So it's about against repression that they were suffering right there. And the Atomium is also part of your excursion that was built for the international exhibition. You're going to have a little bit of time to take pictures from the outside. We also have Bruges, ladies and gentlemen. Bruges is also included in your Tulip Time excursion, but we are having it here as well because it's one of the favorite stops and ports of call of our guests. One of the most romantic cities in Europe. Bruges, you have been, right, Brian? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there and I love it. Love it, love it. Yeah.
Remember we went there together? Yeah, it was really.
That's right. We were there together. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we do have a full day for you there. It is really a wow moment. Never gets old. This is my favorite slide of the whole presentation. Can we just stop there? Can we end the presentation here? I have some. Look, 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 look. I would love to share with you some Belgian chocolate.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Because chocolate is the reason why I live. And there we do have a secret chocolate suite that whenever we have a cruise, I love to take the guests there. They give you little samples and you can have all kinds of chocolate. And it's perfect, perfect, perfect souvenir for you to take home or to your cruise manager.
There you go.
There you go, very good. And also a little surprise, little, quite big, that we do have in Bruges, and many people do not know, is another included visit. There is quite a wow moment as well. For those of you who are into fine arts, into history, the visit of Church of Our Lady, ladies and gentlemen, is included in your excursion. So before your free time in the afternoon, when you can take a canal ride or you can explore the chocolate lane, we do visit the Church of Our Lady of Bruges. Normally it is paid. You have to pay, I think, 12 euros to visit. You do not have to worry about that. Our guides will take you right through. You have a VIP pass. You're going to visit it. It is one of UNESCO heritage sites you're going to see throughout this cruise, and it is one of the most visited church in the whole of the country. Yeah? So you're going there with your guide, and there you have the beautiful surprise of Michelangelo's Madonna of Bruges. For those of you who have seen the movie Monuments Men, so we are going to be able to see two of those masterpieces that were stolen, or they were trying to keep from the Nazi. That was the Mystic Lamp altar that is in Ghent. You're going to see it as well, and Michelangelo's Madonna of Bruges. So this is included in your tour, and a big wow moment for all of you to be able to see that piece of work right there, right in front of your eyes. That's not bad. That's not a bad Wednesday, not at all. The reason why, Brian, you were asking me, why should I book a cabin with a balcony? Look at this. This is a picture I took from the 208 when I told you I woke up in the morning. I was telling you, you do not cruise only in one river. Actually, the day we are cruising back from Antwerp to the Netherlands, we leave the Schelde River and we actually touch a little bit of the sea, a little bit of the North Sea. So we have even a bit of waves. That's amazing. All these windmills, all this wind, and the sunsets are just, you can understand why Van Gogh, he was Dutch, was painting those colors, really, because this every night is a nature masterpiece. And I want to stress how important it is to enjoy those moments from your balcony, to enjoy those moments from the sun deck, because it is really, really, I have no words to explain to you what we see every night, especially cruising during summer. Imagine when we have night until 11 p.m., more or less. So after dinner, you have your glass of wine, you go to the sun deck with your friends. Nobody cares if it's the whole bottle. Just go up. We're not judging. It's Europe. It's okay to have wine from 9 a.m. in the morning, right? We go back to the Netherlands, and another different port we're going to have in this tour regarding the other one is Dordrecht. Ladies, I know it's a bit difficult. Dordrecht. It sounds like I have a problem in the throat, but it's Dutch. I know. So Dordrecht, ladies and gentlemen, one of the first settlements in the whole of the country. You have to imagine the Romans were coming up the Rhine, and when they got to the Netherlands, they decided this is not worth occupying. There's nothing here but mud and rain. So they stayed in Nijmegen and Dordrecht. So this is a very, very small town, but so beautiful because you do have this old flair. It's like a small little magic box. Beautiful to buy Delft. I know this is not Delft, but like this kind of, to call your husband for lunch, it's ready, right? I bought it there. So if you're looking for souvenirs like this, these typical Dutch tiles or Dutch Delft, even though this is not Delft, you find these beautiful, beautiful little souvenir shops, and walking the streets is just so easy. We are 5 minutes. This is just for you to have an idea, more or less. This is not our ship, I promise. This is not our ship, but we are docked right there in the Old Harbor, and you can just walk, get a bicycle and bike along the little lanes. Or if you want to discover a little bit more about Dutch Disneyland, that's Kinderdijk, UNESCO Heritage Sites, 19 windmills, one after the other. You can go and visit it with us. That's the other plan for that day if you want. The next slide is one of my favorites because it actually started happening on my cruise. One of the guests was like, it would be so nice if we can actually have a bike tour here. Imagine us biking along the windmills and just going with a guide. And I said, you know what? You're right. Let's write it down. And it became a tour. So it is beautiful. It is normally a bike tour that I told you. We have 7 nights, right? So from these 7 nights, 6 days we have bike tours. 6. So for this tour, I have to say, is the first one that gets sold out. Sold in the sense of coming you and having to sign up. So please, if you're into biking and if you want to bike between windmills. Come day one to your cruise manager. There's no extra cost, once again, whatsoever. We just have limited space. We just have 25 bikes on board with us. For security reasons, we cannot have one bike per person. But please go to your cruise manager and book a bike so you can go and enjoy Kinderdijk from another perspective with your Dutch guide of 6 feet tall and endless legs. The bike so fast. Oh.
I did this excursion you had recommended, and I did do this, and I remember the day that I did it. It was unseasonably warm, and I remember coming back to the ship and going to my cabin and putting on my swimming suit and then getting into the pool, because we have pools on board, and so that was nice. But I definitely remember. And the other thing about riding a bike in the Netherlands, it's pretty flat, so it's pretty easy. If you haven't been on a bike in a while, it's pretty easy in the Netherlands because it is quite flat, right, Rachel?
Really flat. We have a flat as a pancake. The only place is really Amsterdam. Amsterdam, we have this thing that you can hear only two signs for the bike ride. First is the bell of the other bike. The second one is the ambulance. So Amsterdam, no. All the rest is fine.
Like Rachel said, do not try riding. That is not for the faint of heart, riding bike in Amsterdam. That is unreal. Okay, we'll continue on.
Really, really unreal. Utrecht is another stop as well, ladies and gentlemen. But actually, what I love about Utrecht is the excursion from there, because it's new and it's exciting. We are actually going to a castle. So from Utrecht, that's the port of Gogh, we have the opportunity of visiting Castle de Haar. Look at this. There's no Photoshop whatsoever. The cruise managers, we visited that in the last cruise manager meeting, all of us, to see how the excursion is working. And I have to say, it is so impressive. I got lost in the maze. That little maze there. I was, oh, this is easy. No, and it took me half an hour longer to go out. Almost lost the bus, but it was just so beautiful to hear all the stories behind it. It's so well kept. It is owned by a family, so part of it is still royal. They try to keep it as original as possible. The dungeon is really like you're back in the medieval era, and you learn a lot about the fights between the Belgium and the Dutch. It is an excursion that takes half of your day, so it's either Utrecht or Castel de Haar, but I would really go there. I would really go there. It is beautiful. The gardens, especially during springtime, beautiful for you to see. Gastronomy, you're going to try as well. In Belgium, we have mulfriet, we have beer, we have the stew with fries, and you do have a lot of free time to go to little bars and restaurants outside of the ship. So for those of you who like to explore outside, you have time. Do not worry. You can just go during lunchtime or in the evening. Very important. In Belgium, normally we have overnights in Belgium. Okay, we have a little bit of overnight until 10, 11-ish. So you do have time to go out to a Belgian pub or a restaurant and try your mulfriet or your pint of beer, which are normally like this, more or less like this. So a bit of insider's tip for you to read afterwards is really the fact that it's dam control. We have never issues with high or low water. The guides, something very interesting. Normally the guides are the same because the distances are not that far. So you can cross the whole of Holland in 3 hours with the car. In 3 hours, you go from north to south. So normally the guys, they are following us, and the following day you see the same guy. So this is great. You have this little feeling of having a little family. Oh, yet again. That's really nice. And it is ideal for biking, as Brian was saying. It's pretty flat. The guides are really, really friendly. Sometimes they even take us to their house for a tea or something. So that's one of the many reasons why I love Belgium and the Netherlands for cruising. I want to go back.
Yes, we all want to go back. We can't wait. We cannot wait. Thank you so much, Rachel, for presenting those two itineraries. And certainly, folks, I think you can sense from her enthusiasm and passion why this is one of her favorite itineraries that we do. The stroopwafel, yeah, we had some. I forgot where my wife, but we're all out because the boys beat me to it. My young sons, they like them too. So I didn't get my fair share, and I'm not real happy about it. But glad you're enjoying. Rachel, you should turn real quick. Show us your view in Recife there. Yeah, how nice. And indeed. So you enjoy your stroopwafel. I'm going to talk again as a reminder, real quick, that Diana, as mentioned, is going to be, there we go, on that departure, the Amacerto pictured there in the middle, one of our twin balcony ships, which we already talked about those accommodations being the most popular, and we have more of those than any other type of accommodation. There's other categories as well, certainly, and that's next. And Rachel was so gracious to say to Diana that she picked a perfect date. And in April, yeah, perfect. Good choice.
And I did not know about the King's Day, so that's going to be great too on the 27th.
Which means you gotta bring something orange to wear, right? On King's Day, you gotta wear orange.
Yeah. It's on my packing list.
Also, another very interesting thing is that the Dutch, they have massive windows in their houses and no curtains.
Ah, that is interesting.
Very interesting indeed, yeah.
Now on to some of the things that we hope will interest you as it relates to making reservations for the future. You know, we started doing these virtual events back in April of last year, so we've now done them for quite a while. And only recently, in the last few months or so, we've added what we call our virtual event offers. And the one on the left is buy one, get one. It's a 2-for-1. And we've only been offering these, quite frankly, on our virtual events. So this one, and it is this month's offer, or late January's offer. It is Impressions of the Seine and Paris, August 12th through the 19th. And that is a new itinerary for us this year. And you have to reserve by February 12th. A reservation is a $400 per person deposit, and then final payment at 90 days prior. Okay, so again, 2-for-1. There are some caveats. It excludes the lowest categories in the suites, but again, it would include those twin balconies or balcony cabins in this case, because this ship is a French balcony accommodation ship. Also, if that doesn't work for you this August, then any cruise, including Diana's cruise that she's going to host next year, but any departure that you book, make a reservation, it's $100 per person savings, right? So that's just for attending the webinar today, $100 per person savings, and again, reserve by February the 12th. Now, there is also another program in place right now. This has been very successful. This one ends January 31, so this one you have to act promptly. What it is, we're giving away complimentary land packages on these 3 different itineraries. Bordeaux, the Gems of Southeast Europe, which is the lower Danube between Budapest and Bucharest, or the reverse, or Rhine castles and Swiss Alps on the Rhine. We give away, pictured to the left, 3 nights at the Hilton Hotel right on Lake Como. So we started this back because all companies were trying to see what we can do to help stimulate more interest and more reservations, et cetera. That's what we're trying to do. And so this one has been very successful because the value, as it says there, it's up to $3,000 value when you book one of these itineraries, and it's select departures. It's not every one of these departures on these itineraries, but select departures this year as well as next year, right? So that's worth knowing about. And then starting February 1st, which is next Monday, so not too far from now, we're going to come up with a new program, and these are French cruises, again for 21 and 22, where we're going to, and we were already doing it for Bordeaux, but we're now going to add Impressions of the Seine and Paris, Paris and Normandy, and Essence of Burgundy and Provence. And again, tremendous value in offering you these complimentary land packages. And the nice thing is, as Rachel will tell you, she will be with you, or your cruise manager, whoever is going to be, you're lucky if it's Rachel, will be with you at the hotel pre and post cruise. So you develop a real nice rapport with your cruise manager, right, Rachel?
Yes, and then when we arrive on the ship, we're kind of a little family already.
Yes, I discovered that on my last cruise. It's all these people had all this extra time with Rachel in Barcelona before joining our Provence cruise. So it wasn't something I was that aware of before. So it does begin the fun a few days earlier. And so I do highly recommend taking advantage of this, whether you pay for it or you get it for free like this. This is an incredible offer. So thank you very much, Brian and Alma.
Yeah, no, it is really a good offer, and that's why we're continuing it. The 3 other itineraries through the end of January, and then these new offers. And by the way, it doesn't mention it here, but also we're going to offer Prague, 3-night stays in Prague, complimentary, in conjunction with some of our Danube cruises. Again, not mentioned here, but that's just insider tip for you that, again, Prague, which is absolutely wonderful, will be offered on select itineraries as well. Now, for our solo travelers that are out there, and by the way, we welcome solo travelers in many different ways. We always have accommodations in the lowest category where we offer no single surcharge, and those are limited and they go rather quickly. But quite frankly, a lot of our solo travelers have said, that's nice, but we'd like to be able to occupy some of those balcony accommodations as a solo traveler. So what we've come up with here is on, again, new departures for 21 this year, as well as the Mekong, and this is reserving by the end of February, but it's only a 25% solo surcharge on balcony accommodations, and this one is doing well as well, so be aware of that. Another trend that we're seeing, and that's because we've all been hunkered down for so long, we're seeing that when folks come to their travel advisor and make a booking, they say, you know what, we want to do back-to-back. What can we do back-to-back? Right? And so we are offering, and this is again through the end of March. And again, by the way, you don't have to memorize all this because the details of Dimensions in Travel, but the second departure on that back-to-back, an additional 10% savings, right? All you have to do is come to your advisor and say, we're kind of interested in this time frame because the IT nerds at Waterways down in Southern California, they've come up with an algorithm that you just have to give a time frame, and they can then, the computer will do this algorithm and come up with every departure that's applicable for back-to-back, right? One of the more popular back-to-back is to do Amsterdam all the way down to Budapest, right? So that's a combination. It's called Grand Europe. Yeah, go ahead.
Amsterdam to Budapest was my best cruise last season.
Oh. And that's 14 nights, so you get both. You get, you know,
2 nights in Amsterdam, pre, so we were already 50. And what I loved about that cruise, it was multi-generational. So we had grandparents, the grandkids, the children, the whole different families. And by the time we got to Budapest, I had a hard time saying goodbye. It was hard.
That's nice. And what Rachel alludes to is the fact that another trend in travel, and again, this is accentuated, if you will, because of the current environment that we've been going through the last 10, 11 months, and that is multi-generational family travel, because guess what? We've not been able to get together multi-generationally for obvious reasons. So what we're seeing is families, particularly coming up for this Christmas, later this year, the holiday market, Christmas market cruises, we're seeing families come and book because many of our ships have triple and quad accommodations and connecting staterooms, right? So
it makes you very unique too. Some of the other river cruise companies don't have that same kind of accommodation for families. So we're delighted you've added that and made that commitment to families.
Thank you. Yeah, we're glad we're able to offer it for sure. And plus it's, as I say, a major trend we're seeing, and so we can kind of fit the bill there. Now, for our past military veterans, or current for that matter, you always, any sailing, just let your travel advisor at Dimensions know, and you're going to save an additional $100 per person because of your service to our country as a veteran. So I want to mention that as well. This is how to be in touch with the folks at Dimensions. There's the 800 number there. Easily enough to just info@dimensionsandtravel.com. That's the email address. The 800 number, 828-2962. And yeah, there are many, as Diana mentioned, I think you said there's 28 advisors.
28
so,
of us, yes.
Yeah, and so that's how to be in touch, and certainly they can steer you in the right direction as it relates to AMA Waterways. And we'd love for you to come along with Diana on this cruise on Tulip Time next April-May timeframe and be able to go to the once every 10-year event, the Floriade event. You're right, and get your Delft and stroopwafel and Belgian beer, and you know,
chocolate.
and chocolate. So Rachel, what I might do, I'm kind of airing this, and I'll have to get with Wade and Lilo, but maybe I could. We're so far out, but maybe I can put in a request to see if you might be able to be the cruise manager on that departure. Is that something that maybe you'd be delighted? So
I will keep everyone posted on our success with that. So that would be wonderful if we could make that happen.
It's not a promise. I have to. I go through Wade, who I've been, and I told Wade. Wade is Rachel's boss over in Basel, Switzerland, and I told Wade that we were doing this webinar, and he said, "Rachel's fantastic. I'm sure she'll do a great job." So now I'm gonna, when I write back to Wade and said, "You were right, Wade. She was fantastic," I'm gonna say, "By the way," and so I'll mention the cruise that.
Thank you. I would love that. Well, I just want to thank both of you so much for bringing the Netherlands and Tulip Time. And, you know, I think what you've really shown people, Rachel, is the kind of, if you haven't been on a river cruise before, the kind of cruise managers that AMA Waterways is able to bring on board and just liven up the party. Rachel, you're just the life of the party on all of your cruises, and it's so much fun to have someone bring that kind of energy to a river cruise. I am looking at the question boxes and I'm not seeing anyone having posted anything right now. If you're with us and you still have a question, please post it now. Otherwise, you know, we can always, you know, reach out to you via email to answer your questions. Please, we've got this pretty well dialed down by virtue of the training Brian has done with us. So we'd love to help you with any of your river cruise questions or to get you set up on a future river cruise.
Absolutely. There's one question here, and it's a good one because it says here seasickness on a river cruise ? From Norm.
That's a good point. Okay.
And actually, I can let Rachel answer. But seasickness, it doesn't happen, right? You have to look out the window to see if you're moving, right?
Sometimes we don't know the ship is moving.
That's right.
I was having this conversation with my mother today because she already did 5 of those with me. And then she was just saying that when we were in Budapest once, she was like, "When we leave, Mom, we left 3 hours ago." What? No, there's no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that, you know, the sensation, even when you're in the locks, you're not really that aware of the water movement. All you'll do is you'll just suddenly open your curtain and realize, oh my God, I'm 30 feet down. It's just such smooth sailing. It only has to be an issue, your awareness of it, if you want to go and see the movement and be up on the open bridge, which is another thing that I want to emphasize is your wonderful open bridge. So.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I am so grateful to see you again, Rachel. Hopefully I will see you in 2022. And Brian, I'm sure we're going to have you back to do some more rivers with us. And we will take you virtually wherever you want to go next. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today, and stay safe. And we will be sailing and traveling soon again, I hope. Bye-bye, everybody.
Well, thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.